and do something useful. Really? I could do that? Oh, I'm so excited by that idea. No one ever mentioned that before. Agreeable people, especially if they're really agreeable, are so agreeable that they often don't even know what they want, because they're so accustomed to living for other people and to finding out what other people want and to trying to make them comfortable and so forth, that it's harder for them to find a sense of their own desires as they move through life.
When you're on your pathway to success, it's going to be incredibly challenging to not quit, to not give up. But so many people are going to be telling you you should, and this isn't a good waste of your time, and it's going to be challenging to keep going. But that's what you have to do. Stay with it, stick with it, no matter how hard it gets, because so many people are going to claim that what you're doing isn't worth it. It's going to be a waste of time, and you're going to fail anyway. And they're going to be right. You are going to fail. But when you fail, it's all about how you use that failure to your advantage. So many people, when they fail, they feel like giving up. They feel like quitting. But there's another option. You can get back up from that failure and rise up to the challenge and figure out a way to grow and improve whatever you did wrong, to try to figure out how you can be better than that last attempt. Figure out what it is you need to fix or who you need to get in contact with in order to change the situation to make it better for you. So many people are just going to stop right there in their first failure and then give up. But that's what it's not about. It's about how you get moving forward, how you push forward, and how you rise up to the challenge and attack the adversity in your life, and how you rise up and decide to conquer it and you be better than your failure. So many successful individuals have said that the reason why they're successful today is because of all the failures from their past. So use them to your advantage, and they're not always a bad thing.
I've been talking a lot to the crowds that I've been talking to, not about rights, but about responsibility. Right? Because you can't have the bloody conversation. What are you doing? You can't have the conversation about rights without the conversation about responsibility, because your rights are my responsibility. That's what they are, technically. So you just can't have only half of that discussion. And we're only having half that discussion. There's something that's not you. Jung would call it the self. Carl Jung would call it the self, which he thought of as the totality of your being across time and space. It's something like that. And that, each second that you exist is a slice of the self manifesting itself across time and space. And he thought of the self as partly the voice of conscience, whatever that is. You can't say that. There wouldn't be those two dimensions if there wasn't something correct about both of them. But you can certainly point out that often they conflict, and so the demand for inclusiveness and unity and care, and the demand for high-level performance in a hierarchical structure, they're very different orientations in the world. Well, I'll tell you a couple of strange things, things that I don't really understand. The first is, when we've done the analysis of the effects of the Future Authoring Program, it has had a differential impact on men, and it's had a particularly differential impact on what I would call excluded men. And so that would be non-Western ethnic minority men. People need to search for meaning because they get corrupted by suffering if their life isn't meaningful. That's how it looks to me. Because you can't torture an animal forever without it lashing out. And so if your life is nothing, if there's nothing in it that speaks to you, there's still going to be suffering. You can't talk yourself out of that. You could ask yourself, well, I have this day that lays itself out in front of me. What thing could I let go of that's impeding my progress, that if I let go of would make my life better, my family's life better, my culture's life better, my being better? Say what you think. Tell the truth about what you think. There's going to be things you think that you think are nasty and harsh, and they probably are nasty and harsh, but they're also probably true. And you need to bring those up to the forefront and deliver the message. And it's not straightforward at all, because agreeable people do not like conflict. But I don't think it's very difficult to understand that there are some things that you would rather die than do. I mean, I'm sure that I could get you guys to sit for 15 minutes and say, okay, list 10 things that you would rather die than do. That's easy. Especially if you're a parent, you can think of those things in like no time flat. You can undo yourself by being open. People who are open have a hard time catalyzing their identity because they're so protean. They shift shapes constantly. They're interested in everything. It makes it very hard for them to pursue one thing. And my observation is that if people are high in negative emotion, so they're prone to anxiety, for example, pilfering time and perhaps pilfering goods and being resentful about the people who gave you the position because they're above you in the dominance hierarchy and talking, bad things, gossiping behind the back of your co-workers. It's like you can take your menial position, self-described, and turn that into a very nice little slice of hell.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us know what you thought down in the comment section down below.